tastes like strawberries on a summer evening, and it sounds just like a song. I want more berries and that summer feeling. It's so wonderful and warm.
Is he talking about her vagina?
I think he's talking about eating ass.
No,
I thought
it's
he
a
was
vagina.
talking about her vagina.
That's a vagina. I like it.
Remember when we first met John McClane? Argyle picked him up from the plane and took him down the Nakatomi Tower at the Christmas party. And the terrorists were overzealous, but it was sweet when they killed Ellis. And with a little help from Alan, John McClane kicked ass.
Welcome back to Shat the Movies, the podcast where we answer the question, were the movies we loved when we were growing up really that good? Have you ever caught yourself thinking, why don't they make movies like they used to? Can you still remember spending your Friday night searching for the perfect movie rental at Blockbuster Video? Do you know what Blockbuster Video is? If you answered yes, then this is the podcast for you. I am one of your hosts, Gene Lyons, and alongside me are my co-hosts, Ash Monomore Schlafly.
Hi, y'all.
And Big D Dick Ebert.
Good evening.
And each week we take a look back in time and decide if our favorite films still hold up. The movies we cover are chosen by you, the listeners, who generously commission the films you love. If you'd like to see all the movies we have covered, will cover, or want to choose one for yourself, please visit us at shatthemovies.com and take a look. At the end of each podcast, we'll provide you, the audience, with the number of wipes each movie would take to get off your respective butts. So thank you so much for listening. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and share with a friend. That's how we help the podcast grow. Additionally, please subscribe to our sister podcast, Shat on TV. We review TV series such as Westworld, Taboo, Game of Thrones, True Detective, Watchmen, and we currently are doing American Gods Season 3. Find all that information and past episodes at shatontv.com. Finally, if you'd like to hang out with us live all week long, follow and subscribe to our Twitch channel at shatthemovies.com/Twitch, where we play video games, host watch parties, and end each week with a Shappy Hour cocktail party Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. All that being said, Big D, what movie are we reviewing today?
Well, Gene, before we get to tonight's movies, I just want to thank everyone for the support. This has been an interesting 2 weeks. Gene hinted at it on the Final Countdown recording. That was a nightmare from hell. We are convinced the movie was cursed. The recordings were cursed. We recorded a full podcast during the Texas storm, only to have Ashley's power go out and lose almost 90% of the podcast. We then went back, tried to re-record it. I ended up in the hospital with a back injury. We then tried to re-record it. I'm on pain meds and muscle relaxers. And it was a fun week. So thank you, everyone who wrote in, checking on my back and checking on Ashley's power. So we really do appreciate you all.
And after all that, Big D turned it around in like 2 days, while I'm assuming still with a lot of back pain. And the recording was flawless. Well, the edit was flawless. The recording was something
The recording
else.
was kind of shit, but the edit was great.
God, I appreciate it. It was a shit show. But thank you, everybody, for sticking with us. And tonight, talking about sticking with us, one of our listeners, Jen D, has been a wonderful supporter of us for the last 2 years, and that's an amazing feat that she's been with us. So she wrote back in, and she decided to commission the 1995 coming-of-age comedy Empire Records.
Well, before I read Jen's letter, I just want to say, I love you, Jen. And Jen wrote in and said, I was introduced to your podcast in 2018 after my second move in 6 months, the first of which was away from my hometown friends and toward military life. I was lonely and overwhelmed, and my ride or die Stasia sent me your podcast and told me I had to listen to it. This is one of my least favorite things that people do, but coming from her, I knew it meant something, and she was right. I've been a fan ever since and have enjoyed being along for the ride with all the colorful characters in the Shat crew, past and present. That being said, you've definitely hit your stride with the addition of the glorious Ashley Schlafly. It seemed like the perfect time to finally commission a film that is very special to me, Empire Records. The first time I saw this film, I was in 8th grade at my best friend Vanessa's house. We were instantly enchanted. Every character was a little bit of us or someone we knew. Will we grow up to be perfect overachievers like Corey? Will we unlock the mysteries of the universe like Lucas? Could we learn to be happy for our friends' successes instead of envious like Gina? Could we start a band? What was in those brownies? We had so much to learn. Vanessa and I watched this movie together countless times through middle and high school. The soundtrack became our own. She fell in love with Mark, with a K, and me with Lucas and his couch cushion. We dressed like Corey, then Deb, then Corey again, then Gina for a little bit, then Mark for comfort. This endlessly quotable movie was always our movie. She never got tired of watching it, and I never got tired of her giddiness every time Mark was on screen. I watch it regularly to this day. Even my husband, Patrick, loves it. Well, at least I think he does. He may just love it because I do. Either way, there aren't any other people on the planet I would trust to dissect this movie. I consider you all friends and can't wait to see it through your eyes. Thank you, Big D, Gene, Ash, and King B for sharing your families, your stories, and most importantly, your time with all of us. Having been a part of Shat Nation for a while, I've seen and heard firsthand how you've helped us all in some way, whether it's getting through a commute or celebrating a milestone or mourning a loss. You're appreciated more than you know, and we can't wait to see what you do next. Aloha and happy Rex Manning Day, Jen.
This is like a wonderful Hallmark card.
I know.
It's made me feel all warm and fuzzy. Thank you, Jen.
It actually accomplishes all the things I wish Hallmark cards did accomplish. Because normally they're like, hey, flowers are great, and so are you. And I'm always like, who? Someone fucking professionally wrote this? But no, Jen, thank you so much. And I always love when you and Patrick show up for Happy Hour on Fridays. It's just like, it literally is like hanging out at the bar for happy hour and seeing old friends. And thanks for sticking with us with your move. And Jen and I were talking on Twitter earlier today, and I like to think that I'm very objective when we do these movies. Like, I pride myself on really trying to look at it without any sort of prior prejudice and just be objective about the movie. And I found myself feeling guilty, like preemptively guilty about this review. Because like, it's personal, man. Like, it's a friend of mine. Like, oh God, like what if we're unfair to this? I don't care if Ashley loves it, but if Jen,
yeah, you certainly didn't care about Magnolia. Certainly didn't care if you loved Magnolia.
Listen, if Shat stands for one thing, it's integrity. You have to be honest. We will shit on any movie. I don't care who it is. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It could mean the most to you in the world, and it's our job to shit on it if it really deserves it.
Well, Empire Records is a 1995 coming-of-age movie starring Renee Zellweger and Liv Tyler. The film follows a group of record store employees over the course of one exceptional day. The employees try to stop the store from being sold to a large chain and learn about each other along the way. The film generated generally negative reviews and major losses at the domestic box office at its release. It went on to become a cult hit, and several of its stars launched successful careers. Ash, you are the resident Empire Records expert. We'll start with you. What are your memories of this movie?
Yeah, much like Jen, I loved this movie at a certain age. It was really important to tween and early teen Ash. I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've seen it. It's probably near 100, if not a little bit over. And I've really been looking forward to reviewing it. When Jen commissioned it like a year ago and we found out she had commissioned it, I was excited then and have been eagerly awaiting its arrival on our calendar. The music, my love for AJ, I know every word of Sugar High. It began the start of a huge love affair I would continue to have throughout the 90s with Robin Tunney. I mean, this is a movie that I really genuinely loved. And kind of like with you guys, how you quote Three Amigos, just like Jen, I can quote this entire movie. And when I was watching it this past week, I could have put it on mute and done the entire dialogue for the film. So I'm going to try really hard, you guys, to take off my nostalgia glasses, because the nostalgia glasses are like for real this week, because this is going to be a hard one. I know you said you don't care if I liked it or not, Gene, but you know, I care, and my heart loves this movie.
So unlike Gene, I really don't feel bad if I shit on a movie that somebody likes, as long as I feel honest. And I got to be honest, I realized lately I have turned into the old, crusty dude on the front of his porch. You guys remind me of it, whether it's Clerks, whether it's anything with teenagers, or it's Detroit Rock City. For some reason, these movies are starting to bother me. So I came into it self-aware. And I was worried. I said, I'm going to shit all over this movie. Just seeing the poster made me want to shit on it, because I've never seen it. But because of my integrity, I stuck with it. I did not let it pollute my thoughts. And the movie went somewhere I didn't expect it. So Jen, I want you to know the old man might be a little softer today.
Yeah, speaking of old men, Big D, in true Gene Lyons fashion, I once again thought that this was another movie. So for this whole time, I thought that Empire Records and Airheads were the same movie. And I started to really sit back and analyze it. And I think I got it figured out. So here's the deal. In 1994, I started getting on bulletin board systems on my computer. And then I started going to goth clubs with the people that I met on the bulletin board systems. So my social life, Like my super social life started in 94. So basically, after Pulp Fiction came out, any movie released after 1994, I just group into a category with other movies that are in similar categories. I watch one of the movies and kind of believe that that represents the entire category. So like movie about record store and or radio station, that just fell in together with this. I'd seen Airhead, so I figured I got this one covered. So Jen, I apologize. But again, like Big D, I also watched this for the first time with a completely open mind. Big D, let's hit the trailer.
Just let me introduce you to everybody. This is Gina, Rory, Lucas, AJ.
The staff of Empire Records had the coolest jobs on earth.
Do you think the story is already written, or do you think a bold and courageous act can change the course of history?
Something happened to me last night in Atlantic City.
Did you win anything?
No, I did not.
But Lucas blew it. Everyone knew it.
You want to buy Empire?
Well, that's a good thing, right? The money is gone.
Where's it going to?
I think it's recirculating. We're turning this into a music town?
I have to pay for what Mr. Brilliant here did.
I'm the idiot, you're the screw-up, and we are all losers.
Now, 5 friends have one day to decide what to do with the rest of their lives. AJ loves Corey, not the whole story.
Today is the day that I'm gonna tell Corey how I feel about her. That I,
Love her.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's possible for someone to be in love with someone else and not even know it?
In this life, there are nothing but possibilities.
That is so sweet. I think I'm gonna barf.
Corey wants Rex first time at sex.
Hey, Rex, what happened to your hair?
I will offer myself to Rex Manning. I wish I could be brave. You are brave. I have to bring Rex his lunch. I'm bringing Rex his lunch!
Mark's raging mad. Best day he's had.
Help me, help me, help me. If I was in a band, they would not be doing this to me.
Deb shaved her head and made out she was dead.
I tried to kill myself with a lady bic. Just your typical nutty teenager.
You did have hair, right?
I was tired of being invisible.
Gina did it again, this time to a friend.
You get smarter the shorter your skirt gets. I want to sing in a band, but I don't have the guts. So is this how your life's gonna be now? You're just gonna screw every has-been? I'm starving! I get this funny feeling deep inside.
Want to know more? Check out the store.
Empire Records open until midnight. This is Mark. Midnight!
Employee Lucas has been tasked by store manager Joe with closing the store. Lucas discovers that Empire Records is about to be sold and converted into a branch of Music Town, a large national chain. Determined to keep the store independent, Lucas hatches a plan and takes the day's cash receipts, losing everything in Atlantic City. Lucas is found the following morning by fellow Empire employees AJ and Mark, and he confides in the pair about the previous night's events. Joe arrives and quickly receives frantic phone calls about the missing deposit from both the bank and the store's owner, Mitchell Beck.
Okay, so if you're under 40, like fast forward like 30 seconds, because I'm going to talk about shit you just don't know. You're just going to want to go ahead. When I was a kid, and in the 80s, you had the radio, and then you had the record store. Those were the two places. And if you listen to the radio, it was mostly popular stuff. And then you could find your station, whether it was for new wave or rock or whatever it was. But the main place you found out about music was at the record store. You would actually go, you would hang out. And today you can go stream music, and you have Spotify making recommendations. You couldn't find out about good music unless you went to the store. Now, the one by my house was this bullshit one in the mall. It was like a Sam Goody. But that's not the place you got to go. I used to take the train into Manhattan and go down to Greenwich Village. And I had the honor of spending long summer weekend days at Bleecker Bob's. This place was that hole in the wall. They sold old, used vinyl. It had a following in New York. I think they eventually opened up one in London and LA. And just as a kid from the suburbs who had no clue, and I could pretend for a day that I was cool in the city, I'm sure they were laughing at us, but it exposed me to music that I never would have seen. And I'm so glad I had that experience.
Yeah, you could spend a whole Saturday at the record store. In Arizona, we had Rockaway Records and Zia Records. Those are like the two big ones. And Zia is still around. But for people, again, who don't remember this or didn't live it, you could take in your old tapes and CDs to like Rockaway Records and you would get credit on those. And then you can go through their bargain bins and find other used stuff. The best part was you take that haul home, and not only did you get to experience it in the store and discover new things, but you take it home, you go to your room, you put it on the stereo, and you would just listen for the rest of the day into the night. I mean, I held rituals in my room with like runes and Tori Amos and candles. I would sob to Nick Cave. I would dance around in my room to Joy Division, just like fall in love and look at pictures of girls from the yearbook and listen to Smashing Pumpkins. I mean, this was an entire weekend. We're just doing this, and it cost you like what, $13? It was amazing.
Yeah, this made me really nostalgic as well. I mean, yes to absolutely everything you said, Gene, especially like the falling in love to the Pumpkins. Big shout out to Mayonnaise, the best love song ever that I listened to the first time thanks to a guy who recommended it at Sonic Records in New Orleans. I mean, that's how I found a lot of music because my friends didn't listen to the music that I listened to. Like, and I eventually met my eventual friends that I went to goth clubs with at record stores. Like, we hung out, like we met through music. You know, I would go to Sonic Records in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, where I went to grad school. It was T-Bones. Like, whenever I was lonely, I would just go and sit and listen to vinyl. And it was just a whole lifestyle that still exists today. It's very kitschy, I feel like, today. Like, I feel like sometimes I'm in like an Urban Outfitters when I go to some of these record stores because they're meant to be like, you know, kitschy and trendy, but they weren't back then. They were just part of a life that you lived. It was part of weekends and it was a part of just random weeknights. And from the very get-go of this film, it made me want to go back and be, you know, 14, 15 years old again in the 90s, not today, but like in the 90s where I could go and discover music in this way because there's something really special about it.
And this is the first criticism of the movie that I'll have is it's a movie about record stores, but the music largely sucks. I mean, I love Edwyn Collins. Edwyn Collins is a god to me, but Toad the Wet Sprocket, Better Than Ezra, Drill, they all suck ass. And even the good bands that were on the soundtrack, like Cracker and the Cranberries, they curated the worst songs from those bands into Empire Records. And watching this movie, I started to understand like why veterans get pissed when they see war movies. And they're like, war's not like that. I was like, in the 90s at the record store, if a motherfucker put any of these albums on, there would be a mutiny on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I remembered loving the music, and then I didn't so much love the music on the rewatch. And I think it's because in 1995, I mean, I was, 12 years old. I hadn't really discovered a lot of music yet. And this movie is actually how I found out about the Cranberries, who are one of my all-time favorite bands. Absolutely love them. But I'm with you on all except for Better Than Ezra. They are a New Orleans band. Shout out to Better Than Ezra. They lived right down the street from where I went to college. They're really cool guys. And so I find this weird, strange comfort in hearing Desperately Wanting. But I will agree with you. Soundtrack not as awesome as I remembered.
But I got to tell you, am I the only one here? Because I'm the oldest in the podcast, but there are certain things that trigger my mortality warning. I'm like, oh, Cranberries, I love them. She's dead. Oh, Jerry Cantrell, I love Alice in Chains. She's dead. That shit made me feel really old.
fucking Gwar. Oderus Urungus died in 2014. And I don't know if you guys know, like Oderus Urungus, who's the frontman for Gwar. They have Gwarbecue every year. It's like a big festival and everybody goes out to this like campsite and hangs out. For Oderus Urungus in 2014, they had on the lake there, they had a Viking funeral for him. And I was like, that's the fucking way to go. But yeah, Big D, he's dead too. I'm like, all these guys are fucking dead. It's so sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Time goes by quick.
I mean, they're also musicians. I mean, so, they die young. But I will say, you talked about criticism. I'm sorry, Jen. There were a few things that stood out to me on the rewatch. And one is that I can understand for you guys how it was like your first time watching it, how it might have been hard to begin to watch this film when you don't really know what it's about, because the tonality of this film is really strange from the outset. You don't really understand the plot, or if there is a plot of this movie. You don't really know who these characters are, why you're supposed to care about them. And I will admit that it's very heavy-handed in 90s stereotypes. So you've got your Liv Tyler character, which is is an incredibly stereotypical character from 90s movies. You got your super angsty Deb who, nobody gets her and has all these shitty things in her life. And it reads almost as a parody, her character in particular. So I do admit that, but I also, Nostalgia Glasses was still really sold on all those big stereotypes from the outset of this movie.
The setup in the back room, I felt was like 21 Jump Street, where it's like the older guy and then he's having the meeting with all of the kids. Except in 21 Jump Street, they were like trying to stop crimes and stuff. In Empire Records, they're not doing anything.
No, and you know what? I've shit on so many of these movies lately. This one starts off, and I'm warming up a bit to it because the tone of it, it's like an afternoon special. It was like, oh, my parents just don't understand me. Oh, yeah, well, mine makes me go to Harvard and I'm taking pills. It was like, it wasn't as serious as annoying as, Clerks was. And then you get the character who it pulled on my heart was poor Joe. Poor Joe. Yes, he speaks to me because I'm an adult now, and Joe was the only adult in the room. But this poor fucking guy, he's trying to run a business. He's got a dream. He wants to make it come true. And he's stuck with this group of idiots. You got fucking Lucas. He's trusted with one job. He steals the deposit. Mark is brain dead. Deb is suicidal. He tries to console her. Corey is this fucking rich kid who has problems. It's ridiculous. I just wanted to hug Joe. Okay. And Joe's only flaw in this movie is that he actually trusts people and he cares about all of these misfits. And he is the glue that holds this movie together. He is the heart behind everything.
I think at this point in the movie, we're supposed to be pulling for these characters. Like, we're supposed to be like, oh no, I want them to survive Music Town. Empire Records must live on and save the people of Delaware. By this point in the movie, I was like, Music Town, let's go. Like, someone's got to show up and run this place properly. Is this a business or a clubhouse? At any given time, there is maybe one person working. Everybody else is just fucking around. What's AJ doing on the roof? What the fuck's he doing up there?
He's rewiring the sign. That's what he's doing. This whole purpose in the movie and loving Corey.
Yeah, Joe does have one other weakness. He overstaffs the store. That is his third character flaw.
Well, I do also have to say, as an adult, I did watch Joe in a different way, but instead of feeling like he was the heart, I just thought he had like a really sad, pathetic life, right? He's turned out to be this guy who was this aspiring musician, probably cool at one point and maybe attractive before he became like a weird, like bargain bin Judd Nelson, because I think that's what he looks like. But now he's just like this Mr. Feeney kind of character for all these young kids. He's supposed to be this role model, but they're kids that are eventually going to move on. And where is he going to be? He's going to be stuck. And so I was like, where would Joe be now? He would probably be horribly unemployed or barely hanging onto a record store that's not making any profits pre-pandemic, much less post-pandemic. And I was just like, wow, Joe's life sucks.
Yeah, when they established Joe as kind of looking sort of cool, getting out of his car, and he's got like that big billowing meatloaf blouse in his hair, I was so worried that he would be sexually taking advantage of one of these kids, or like using them to boost his ego, or like getting them turned on to drugs. So I was relieved that Joe's a good dude. I'm like, all right, he's a pretty good dude. And then he beats the shit out of Lucas in his office and like tells him he deserved it.
He did deserve it. What? Are you kidding me?
No.
Listen to me. Joe has been saving money to live his dream, and Lucas just did it, and then he mocks him. Are you kidding me? He did not kick the shit out of him right away, but he waited until Lucas pushed him. Superb. He needed a real ass beating, and then the cops called.
It's such like your dad reaction. This is like the donation fairy. Like you're just... Oh.
I'm just keeping this recording in my pocket for when I say I'm going to kick the shit out of someone. Big D's like, come on, man. Like, you don't want to resort to violence. That's ridiculous. Nobody likes that.
If somebody takes $9,000 from you and destroys your dream, I'm all on board.
To quote the King Bee, a man can be provoked. Well, other employees arrive for work, including overachieving high school student Corey and her uninhibited best friend, Gina. Hostile employee Deb, who has survived an apparent suicide attempt, also arrives. Joe explains that he had saved enough money to invest to become part owner of the store to save it, but now will be $9,000 short when he covers for the missing money with Mitchell. Joe is distracted from dealing with the crisis due to a major store event, Rex Manning Day. Rex Manning, a washed-up 1980s pop idol, is holding an autograph session at the store for fans of his latest album, Back with More. The enthused staff members mock both Manning and the event.
Okay, so the best part of this movie in 1995 and today is obviously Rex Manning, right? He is the most amazing character. And it was so nice to see my lover, Matthew Caulfield of Grease 2 fame, come back into a movie that we're doing again. Although this time, it's ridiculous how stupid he looks, from his outfit to that weird 90s pointy chair that they try to put him in, to the gag of the older fans. Every joke with him works. I mean, it absolutely does. And this is a timeless character. Like, I figure this is going to be like Justin Bieber or Nick Jonas in 10 years.
Oh, dude, but I love Ashley's cameo in the movie. Did you see her in line? When she comes up, she's like, "Mi amor."
I'm sorry, are you insinuating that I'm that old ass lady?
No, you are the older woman who still pines. The smile on your face right now, if you were in front of Rex Manning, you would be that woman like, "Oh, hi, would you sign my chest?" Look at you, cool rider. I see it. The French singing.
That woman was like 49,
Whatever.
Big D. I have so many problems with that. And no, I would never wait in line at a record store for somebody to sign my tits. That sounds gross.
You would.
Ash, I agree with you that Rex is the best character in this movie. He's Gary Glitter.
Yes.
He's Neil Diamond. He's Tom Jones. All these like cheeseball pop stars with their pop collars and their leisure suits and their fucking goofy hair. Like, I love these guys. I love male singers who tried to be like sexy and dazzling and just took a fucking chance.
Yeah, so I got dragged to a Styx concert, the band Styx.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a concert where everyone sat down, which first of all is really awkward, right? And then at the end of some song that they played, their guitarist, was like waving his hair all around, like very Rex Manning style. And he tossed out the guitar pick and it just fell unceremoniously at the front of the stage. And you could hear like the click, as it hit the ground. And I applauded because I just thought this was like the funniest thing I had ever seen. And that's Rex Manning, right? He's going to get up and he's going to do his little shimmy and he's going to, sing his sexy song. And everybody's just going to be sitting down and drinking their drinks and not caring.
God, I got to ask you this, okay? Because I experienced this. I went to the Ohio State Fair in 95 and it was like 100 degrees out and we were drinking. So we needed some place to go that was shady. We walk into the main like covered dome and holy shit, the Spin Doctors are playing. Maybe 30 people in this arena that probably held 1,000. It was comprised of mostly moms and their babies who were getting out of the sun. And the Spin Doctors were up there like playing and like nobody knew the new songs. And then like, okay, our next song. And they start playing Pocket Full of Kryptonite. And the 30 moms started like waving their hands and clapping. Next song, everybody just sat down and blew them off. The pain I felt just watching is like Rex Manning. Rex and the real Rexes, they have to feel that. Do you think it's better to have had some fame and lost it or never?
Oh, definitely have had the fame and lost it. I mean, listen, we're no Spin Doctors here, but if 20 years from now they ask us to do a Shat reunion and do a live recording, and Jen shows up and Patrick shows up and be like, "Hey guys, like, all right," and they're gonna tell their kids, "Yeah, these were the coolest people in the world back when you were little kids," and the kids won't believe them, but we know it's true.
Yeah, I think it's only really gross if you try to keep that same persona, right? Like, okay, I think you have to age gracefully. You can't still be out there, shaking your ass when you're 55 or something. Like, I think like you have to age with the fans, and then it's all right. But, just playing on this, it made me think of like Comic Cons. It made me think of all the times when you encounter these alienated older celebrities that are they look really shitty.
It pays the fucking bills. And Jen, I'm going to apologize. I have to bring out my shit stick so I can start swinging it around here because I do have a problem with something in the movie. Randall and Dante from Clerks, I despised them, but I found someone I despise more, Lucas. Okay, I would have rather watched Clerks than the beginning of this movie with him talking to himself and going to Atlantic City. He looks like he would be cast in The Big Bang Theory. He is a douche. He is self-absorbed. He has no regrets for stealing the $9,000. He doesn't even apologize to Joe. He doesn't say why he did it. He doesn't give a shit. And he actively works against any of the other characters trying to do the right thing. If you're trying to work, he's going to shit on you. If you're trying to console or find out what's wrong with Deb because she tried to kill herself, he's going to say, oh, she's fine. She's amazing. Fuck Lucas.
See, I disagree. I think Lucas has two things going on. One is that Lucas obviously has some sort of a social quirk. Like when they tell him not to get off the couch, he's like holding a piece of the couch and walking around. Like he doesn't function the way a normal person functions. And also with Deb, like I read his intervention on Deb's behalf as the right thing to do. AJ was white knighting. He was getting aggressive with a person who was essentially tried to commit suicide. He was being pushy as fuck with her. Deb didn't ask for AJ's help. She didn't want him in her shit. It's none of his fucking business. And Lucas was trying to make that point politely.
Yeah, and if I had just tried to kill myself with a Bic razor, I would want somebody to tell me I was fine and amazing too. I agree. AJ's a little pushy there. But speaking of Deb, right? Deb was a character I loved when I was younger, and she was the one that I had the biggest trouble with. Not Lucas. It was Deb's character because of how much of a parody almost it felt like she was. And she has this big like Britney moment before Britney had her moment where she shaved her head, right? So Deb goes into the room, and I remember even as a kid going like, where did she get those clippers? Like, did she bring the clippers with her? Were they just in the bathroom? And if she brought them with her, why did she decide to wait until she got to work to shave her head? And I just thought it was such a weird choice. And I know that the studio was like, hey, we want this to be edgy and alt. So, you know, this is going to show us how angsty she is. And her haircut was so good before she shaved her head, right? Like when she takes her little moped helmet off, her haircut is so fucking good. And then she shaves her head.
Do you know that wasn't part of the original script? She decided to do it. She thought it would be appropriate for the character. And they said, yep, let's do it and shoot it. So it fit with the character. I liked it. And you know what? You said poor, pathetic Joe, and Gene complains about people white knighting. Good guy Joe comes to the rescue again. Deb is in the little listening room, and she's working. She's doing the taxes, and he sits down and says, "You know, if you ever need to talk, I'm here. You're doing a good job." He's there. He is the one thing that's keeping all of these kids from melting down. I think without him, and he takes in every stray. You know, does it with Warren later. And I think that's when I started to go from old man on the porch to like, maybe I should invite these kids up for a lemonade and we could talk. And I started to like the movie.
And before anyone asks, with Deb being all rebellious and shaving her head and being a fucking walking rain cloud, I did not find this behavior or the character attractive in any way, just for the record. Even more awful is the dancing in this movie. I didn't know I was capable of cringing as hard as I did while watching Empire Records dance scenes. There was no need to go this over the top. I actually felt bad for the cast. Like I can imagine them on the sound set without music playing, just like, all right, look like you're doing something wild. You're kids and you're having a good time. The song choices were so predictable. Like, oh, this one goes out to Lucas and it's money because, you know, Lucas lost the money. The kids were noticeably faking having fun. And at one point, Gina comes out like naked except for an apron. And at that point, you think, okay, well, how could you ruin this? You can ruin it by the fact that Renee Zellweger has beat deafness. And I mean, no disrespect to people with actual beat deafness, but I don't think that was an intentional part of the character.
Okay. I think that's a bit harsh. I think most people can't dance. Like most people have absolutely no idea how to move their bodies. And I think that it was, you know, cute. I thought they were fine when they all dance like that. Now, I will say Liv Tyler, as long as her limbs are and as like lanky as she is, she definitely looked better in the Aerosmith videos than she does here. But I don't know. I thought it was cute.
I mean, I wasn't expecting like Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo here, but Ash, you criticized Arnold Schwarzenegger's dancing in True Lies. Yeah. He was better than this.
But he was meant to be suave there. He was supposed to look cool. These are just people hanging out with their friends. It's a little different.
Okay, so I got to ask you guys, is it racist if I'm part of the group that I'm making a racist statement about?
Well, you're white, so it's fine.
Okay, so I'm going to say something here. I'm sorry if it hurts my white brethren, but white girl-itis, white girl-itis is a real thing. And I can say that as a white man who was raised by a white Scandinavian family. My father was Italian, mother was Swedish. And when I was introduced to Vanessa's side of the family, which is Latina, she's Brazilian, and I've met all of her side of the family and her friends. And I've realized the difference. In Latin homes, I'm going to make a generalization, music is always being played. So kids will always be kind of dancing. The family's music's a part of it. In white families, generally it's not. I mean, you might be listening to Zeppelin or dad's blaring some music in the garage, but the kids aren't dancing. Emma, I'm afraid to say, she has been stricken with white girl-itis. I'm afraid she's going to be the Empire record dancers for the rest of her life.
And that's okay, because she will have a good time. All that matters is she has good taste in music, not that she can dance to it.
Yeah, she could always be goth.
Yeah, then you just kind of have to step and sway and sometimes look like you're casting spells in front of you or like batting at something.
So if she stays on her current path, I'll have to send her out west for like a summer so you can train her.
I mean, Ash is closer.
Yeah.
You know those Houston goths? They're legendary.
I'm from New Orleans.
Lucas apprehends a belligerent young shoplifter who identifies himself only as Warren Beatty. He is later taken away by police, but vows to return seeking revenge. Encouraged by Gina, Corey indulges her schoolgirl crush on Manning by attempting to seduce him, but winds up humiliated and dejected. AJ then chooses this inopportune time to confess his love to Corey, which she rejects. After Gina and Corey argue about their respective bad reputations, Gina has sex with Manning. When this is discovered by the staff, AJ attacks Manning. Gina reveals Corey's addiction to amphetamines. Corey hysterically trashes the store, and Joe asks Manning to leave.
I have to say, upon rewatch, I forgot how much I really related to Corey and her character. I know, Big D, you're like, ew, life's so hard and I'm rich. But Corey has a really dark storyline here. Her storyline is actually a lot darker than Deb's is. So we're going to have a little personal moment with Ashley here, because I really genuinely related to her struggle she has with Rex Manning. So those of you who haven't seen it, she wants to lose her virginity to Rex Manning because she's in love with him. And so she finally does confront him. He basically, sits back like, come blow me. And she gets really upset about it. And I so remember feeling like Corey felt here, because she gets like really awkward and she just kind of runs out of the room. Rex Manning would have never been the dude I wanted to lose my virginity to. But like at this age, I would have totally fucked Billy Corgan, totally given myself to Marilyn Manson in a heartbeat, probably had daydreams about doing this with both of them. But it wouldn't have been like what I pictured in my head, because like the truth is, and we've talked about it on the pod before, sex is weird and awful for girls when they first start having sex. And we see like part of that here. It's really the most honest part of the whole movie. And I had a situation like this. I was 14 years old. I hadn't lost my virginity yet. And this really older guy who had had lots of sex before when I was 14, put my hand on his hard dick and was like, do you like this? And I thought I was totally ready to like that, but I wasn't. I like panicked and left the room just like Corey does. I actually wound up throwing up afterwards because I felt so dirty and sad and just like ashamed by all of it. And you see that here, and not a lot of coming of age movies explores that. In another film, she would have, he would have tried to rape her or something like that. But here she leaves and feels shitty about herself. And I think that makes this really accurate. And I remember having that Corey moment. And that sets this movie apart for me from just like a stupid film about a record store.
Ash, I have a question about this situation though. And this is, for people listening who have like been critical or don't believe that representation is important on a podcast, this is where it's incredibly important, because I watched this scene. I think I'm a fairly intelligent person. I watched this scene and I went, what the fuck just happened? And I rewound it and watched it again because I was like, did I miss something here? What happened? She was taking her clothes off. She wanted to do it with Rex Manning. He opened up his pants and said, rock and roll. And I was like, what happened? So was it the lack of romance that freaked her out? Or was it the sudden realization that a fantasy that she had was becoming reality and she wasn't ready for that reality?
I think it's the latter there. I mean, I think all girls have in their mind what their first time's going to be like. And like when you're confronted by that, it isn't like it at all. And so I think for her, like she in her head's like, this is going to be so special. It's going to be so perfect. And then he's like, blow me, right? Yeah. Like he's like, come give me head. And for her, I think it was kind of like, oh, wow, like I'm going to be servicing him. I don't know if I really want to do this. And he looks like an old, gross dude also in that scene. And I just think it's just too much for her.
By the way, context is everything. in these situations, because I think that sitting back, unbuttoning your pants and saying rock and roll is perfectly acceptable right now for me in my current situation, but not in that situation.
Do you remember what Rex says to her? Are you sure that you want to do this? They could have made him pedo. They could have made him really gross, but they didn't.
He still fucks a teenager.
Oh, I agree. But my take on it was she thought it was going to be this romantic thing. And then he just treated her like a sex doll. Like, hey, come here, blow me.
Well, and again, she thought like she was like older and ready for it. And like being confronted with the reality of put up or shut up. Right. That's the other thing. I mean, it's why, you know, when you finally do lose your virginity, for a lot of girls, like they regret it because they're not like, you know, they're not really ready for it.
Well, Deb attempts to cheer up Corey, and in return, Corey holds a mock funeral for Deb, which the whole staff attends. The belligerent young shoplifter Warren returns to the store with a gun, ultimately loaded with blanks, and Lucas diffuses the situation by revealing that he himself was a troubled youth until he was taken in and saved by Joe. Joe, in turn, offers Warren a job at the store. Lucas admits defeat and suggests confessing the truth about the missing money to store owner Mitchell. Suddenly inspired, Mark runs in front of the store to a news crew and announces on live TV a late-night benefit party at the store to save the empire.
So, Ashley, you had seen yourself in some of the characters. I saw myself in Warren. I was a prolific tape and CD shoplifter. I stole hundreds of albums from Sam Goody and Tower Records. I do now realize that it was the excitement, it was the rush of the act, less exactly the CDs that made me do it. So I can sympathize with Warren. I really want to apologize today to any stockholders, anyone out there who had a part in Sam Goody or Tower Records. It was despicable what I did. I sound like I'm joking, but I do feel bad today. I eventually got caught shoplifting at Kmart in college. I was stealing a stereo system. I used to put it in the shopping cart and just walk out the front door like I'd paid for it. I ended up going back the next day for the one with the surround sound. I got caught. I punched the clerk in the face. I ran away. I was a troubled kid at that point. I eventually got caught. And you know what? After that day, I learned, I stopped. So looking back, I realized it was a cry for help like Warren. So to anyone I hurt with my shoplifting, I apologize.
So privileged, Big D.
It is. It was. Yeah, exactly. I admit it.
I guess I'm just an angel here because I don't even pirate movies off the internet. My guilt is just too strong. But what I didn't understand about this movie is when they need to take a photo of Warren, apparently as evidence, it turns into like a photo shoot. Mm-hmm. And they're shooting on a Polaroid camera, which everybody knows is like $3 a photo. I'm pretty sure they spent more money on Polaroids of Warren than the CDs were even worth.
Yeah, but come on, Warren was all of us at some point in our life, right? Like when we were like too young to hang out with the kids we thought were cooler than us. We wanted to be grown up really badly. And I love that about his character. I think he's almost as great as Rex Manning is. I thought he was really funny. I thought his scenes are super endearing. And I remember wanting to like be an adult like he does. And I love that he comes back with the blanks. I love that they give him a job. I love that they gave him, yeah, I did. I love that they gave him the little name tag. I thought that was precious. I loved Warren.
This is a turning point for Lucas for me. he went from fucking that sack of shit on the couch not apologizing to he puts his running shoes on, and I'm seeing a different side to Lucas. He might not apologize for the $9,000, but when it comes to in-store theft and loss prevention, he's about it. And he gets out there. So maybe I'm starting to realize at this point that all of his act about I'm not caring and I'm so different is just an act like my cry for help for stealing. So I'm starting to kind of come around, Jen. I'm starting to feel you, Jen. I'm starting to feel you.
Do you want to carry that feeling into Clerks?
No way. Fuck Dante. No way. No, my goodwill and good feeling ends here. I draw the line.
I don't know. I would prefer Clerks of this movie, honestly. Clerks had at least like some interesting conversations between the characters. Yeah, they were pretentious, but there was some cleverness to the writing. This script, Empire Records, was written with crayons. Like it is. I mean, Ash, you said that you memorized every word. it's because they only used about 12 words just interchangeably, and that was the whole movie.
Yeah, there's not a lot of words. I will give you that. But I think that this is a totally different movie than Clerks, right?
Yeah, totally.
Clerks are grown-ass people.
Yeah.
Those are grown adults. These are kids. I mean, I think that a lot of people think these characters are meant to be older than they are, but they're high school kids. And so for me, this falls more in line of like Clueless or like The Age of the Kids in the Craft movies. And I do, of course, Clueless and The Craft are much better films than this one, and potentially much better films than Clerks as well. But this is a totally different film, and I would hang out with Randall and Dante any day, probably over this group of people, but totally different film.
Oh, bullshit. Those two were too busy sitting back, throwing quips at each other and trying to be smarter and prove how intelligent they are. That's not how kids are. These kids are more real. When you're a kid, you're stupid. You think that people think your life is perfect, that you don't see all the flaws. No, these kids were real. You know, they act all hard. You know, you got Deb who's like, I'm so different. I'm going to cut my hair. I'm not going to conform. But you can tell inside she's like, I'm really scared. I'm just a teenager. These are all real. Dante and and Randall were like, I'm so cool. It was a totally different film. I'm vibing with this movie.
Yeah, but let's go back to Deb. And I know I will admit my bias here, right? Like I became an alt kid. And so maybe I don't like the stereotype of her the most because it just kind of rubs me the wrong way. And the fact, of course, she tried to kill herself, right? And I think the fake funeral really falls flat. Like I get what they're trying to go for, but are they really concerned she's going to do it again? You know, because they make these super cute, you know, very sorority paint pen invitations for people to come to this precious little funeral. You know, does her depression just go away because she's now friends with, you know, Corey and with Gina? Of course not. I think it really falls flat. And I know I sound like a little bit of like a PBS after school special, but lots of kids do commit suicide and it's a really big deal. And now today you got, you know, shows like 13 Reasons Why, which is this really graphic show about a kid who does commit suicide, and something like this just, it falls pretty flat in comparison.
Ash, this was such a mid-90s decision. Someone in the writing room was like, wouldn't it be quirky if they had a funeral for Deb, but she's actually there? It's kind of a play on Jimmy Stewart, but for the 90s.
Oh, God.
Like, your fucking store is going to get taken over. You're losing the store. You're missing $9,000. Is now really the time you want to have a mock funeral for Deb?
No. It's stupid. And then for her to be like, I tried to kill myself with a Bic razor and I couldn't even get through the skin. Like, it's like, well, then you're stupid. You know, like, no, I don't even feel bad for you. Like, maybe
you didn't even give it your wholehearted effort.
Try harder with an actual razor, Deb. I mean, it fell really. Nope.
Well, the store opens its doors and collects donations during an impromptu concert on the roof by Gina and another employee named Burko. Joe hands the money raised to Mitchell, who confesses that he hates the store and offers to sell it to Joe. Corey finally finds dejected AJ on the roof, fixing the Empire Records sign, and confesses that she loves him too. AJ decides to attend art school in Boston so he can be near her while she attends Harvard. They kiss, and the staff ends the long day with a dance party on the roof.
So I want to know, when we're kids and we're younger, and this movie does a good job of showing it, everyone's about like anti-establishment, right? Oh, you know, we don't want Music Town coming in here, even though Music Town has probably got better inventory. It's a little more expensive, but you know what? Maybe it's a better business. I don't know why teenagers are always so busy with like going against the mainstream. Like it's bad. You have to just rebel against everything that maybe it isn't even established, but is considered like normie. So you got Deb, who's like trying so hard to show how different she is, but yet her and all her friends who want to prove they're so different, they conform to each other. And the only difference is the normies know they're conforming. They know they're just normies. But Deb actually thinks that she's outside everybody else. She's so different. I'm unique. I'm making buttons. I don't get why kids are so consumed with railing against something when it's not always necessarily affecting them in a negative way.
See, Big D, you're a pretty cool dude, but this is going to be the rift between, I think, you and me and Ash, is that beating the man still matters to me. And it's not about conforming. It's about just retaining any shred of character or variety in the world. So I assembled a little pop quiz for you guys, a little survey. Okay. So Big D, Do you prefer a menu where everything is familiar or everything is a mystery? And this, I'm talking absolutes here. So it's a menu where you know everything on it and you've had it before, or would you rather have a menu where you don't know anything on it? You have no idea what it is.
So is this like I'm going out to dinner or something I have to do every day?
No, this is just one time you're going. You're going to a restaurant. You can choose
different.
Okay, all right. So Ash.
I mean, I would want it to be a mystery for sure.
Okay, grocery store. Would you prefer to go to a grocery chain for your grocery shopping that's laid out in a standardized fashion? So any of that store that you go to, any location, everything's in the exact same place? Or do you like a different layout in every store?
Oh, fuck no. It would optimize my route through the store. I got to know where everything is. Yes.
Ash?
I mean, they change it every week at HEB, and I love HEB. So I'm going to say changing it up.
Liar.
See, we're getting to the core now. All right, now here's the ultimate question. All right. Okay. Do you guys have Dutch Bros where you are? Dutch Bros coffee? Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Big deal. Okay, so Dutch Bros is a coffee place where when you go there, they like give you a sticker and they're always going to ask you like, hey, like, how's it going? What are you doing with your day? Like, how you doing there? Oh man, it's so good to see you. They're required to do that. That is part of the shtick at Dutch Bros, right? Do you prefer that? Or would you prefer the person serving you the coffee has a little bit of an attitude and doesn't really give a shit about your happiness?
I would prefer for them to not make eye contact with me.
I'd prefer to go to the gas station and pay 89 cents.
All right.
I don't go to Starbucks. I don't go to any of those fucking places.
So based on these results,
Folgers.
You don't truly like Music Town and you actually do want to not conform to the man because you don't like the standardization. You just you don't give a fuck. It's like, just do the thing. I would much rather go into a store where shit is just weird. There's attitude all over the place.
See, you're missing it. Like I told you, I loved Bleecker Bob's. I loved it. I loved it. But I'm not going to go out and be like, yeah, man, screw Tower Records, Bleecker. I'm just going to go to Bleecker Bob's. I'm not going to make my fight against Tower Records part of my personality. That's the difference.
I don't know, though. I think it's not just about like rebellion, though. I think it's like recognizing the death of something that's better than what's coming in. It's like the same thing. Like it's people who love New Orleans or hate New Orleans, right? Like the people who love New Orleans, they love it because it's a completely alternative way to live, right? Like it is not like any other city in the US. It's dirty and it's gross and it's not cleaned up well and the rent is not modified across the city where you know what you're going to get and it's kind of dangerous and it's all of those things, but it's fucking awesome, right? So do you want the experience or do you want the sanitation? Like I think that's more what it is where those of us that still fight the man, damn the man, right? Like it's fighting against that change because what's coming in is not better. It's so much worse than what they're trying to replace.
But we are the fucking man. All three of us are the man in different places.
No.
You're the man.
I'm the fucking man. That's
She's
right.
the fucking man.
Yeah, but not that way. I'm just cool.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
How the fuck am I the man?
You're the man in the classroom. You're the fucking establishment.
No, I'm not.
You don't let people use your lake.
Hell yeah.
Fuck you. It's not my lake.
Exactly. Fuck those people. We want to use that lake.
I leave the gate put the open gate up. Every time
We're gonna
I leave.
Lock the gate. Do you gate people out of your lake? You're the fucking man, Ashley.
I have never called somebody and been like, so-and-so's not supposed to be in our lake. Like, I've never done that.
Hey, have you fought the association to take that gate down? You're the fucking man.
I actually did speak about that in an HOA about how I thought it was ridiculous that we had a gate up around the fucking lake. So, ha!
I'll get you a fucking medal.
It's still there, though.
Jen, I've been pretty critical of this movie, but I want to reach out to you here with an olive branch, and it's about Lucas. I was really proud of Empire Records for this Lucas twist at the end. So for people who don't remember, if you haven't watched in a while, we discover at the end that Lucas lost that money on purpose. It's not because he's a dipshit. It's not that he thought he was going to win a bunch of money in Atlantic City. It's not that he thought he was going to single-handedly save the store. He didn't want Joe working at a soul-sucking job managing a music town. He knew that the store was going to turn into a music town. He knew that Joe would still continue to manage it. He loves Joe. He cares about Joe. And suddenly Lucas's actions, and they say that he's developed a strange like zen all of a sudden, it makes so much more sense. He's made himself the martyr. He's taking all the punishment. He's taking all the accusations. He's being called an idiot. He's like risking it all because he wanted to protect Joe from what he knew Joe would do, which is spend the rest of his life working at Music Town and becoming even sadder a character. It almost redeems Lucas entirely.
It does. And everybody starts to get their little happy endings by this point in the movie. And it brought me to a part that I'm embarrassed to say I still enjoyed, which is the song on the sign at the impromptu festival that they didn't have a permit for. And it's when Gina gets to sing Sugar High. Okay, look, I get it. This song is awful. I objectively understand that this song is awful, but I know every single word. And y'all, I may have sung out loud the entire time I watched this movie, including even like, where she takes like the little moment where she, is late and then she doesn't say anything and she starts with far and wide. Like even that part I may have done. And it's awful, but I don't know. Fuck, it made me really smile, you guys. It made me feel good.
I mean, this song is awful. You are right. But at least it's not Watermelon Sugar by Harry Styles. I cannot believe this is an actual
Watermelon
song.
Sugar High.
Yeah.
Watermelon Sugar High.
I'm sorry, wait. How do you know a Harry Styles song?
Because when I work in the backyard, I have a radio. It plays.
It's everywhere.
It's 106.7. You'll hear it like 4 times an hour.
And this is the thing, we make fun of Rex Manning, but these fucking artists like still exist. I fucking hate modern pop. These are the lyrics to Watermelon Sugar.
Okay.
Tastes like strawberries on a summer evening, and it sounds just like a song. I want more berries and that summer feeling. It's so wonderful and warm.
Is he talking about her vagina?
I think he's talking about eating ass.
No,
I thought
it's a
he was
vagina.
talking about
That's
her
a
vagina.
That's a vagina. I like it.
Tastes like strawberries on a summer evening.
Yep. It's like
could be ass. No.
It's like a piece of fruit. He's opening
Maybe
it up.
he's talking about eating. That's a big thing right now. Like,
it's eating a butthole.
No, but
I think it's a rim job.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's a strawberry. Strawberry's a vagina.
No, that's a peaches and cream thing.
Yeah,
like I think it may be an ass on that. Well, I like it more that it's about eating ass. That's fine.
And Ash, I want to take an issue here. It's not that the song sucks.
You just move on.
Okay, it's not that the song sucks. It's that Renee Zellweger sucks.
Yeah.
She can't sing, even though she was in Chicago, which won a couple Academy Awards, but she is a bootleg Cameron Diaz. Every time I see her on screen, I feel like the director was like, we got to get Cameron Diaz. We don't have the money. What's Renee Zellweger doing? Let's get her.
Yeah. Is Cameron Diaz great, though?
It's better than her.
I don't know. Well, whether you like the song or not, I am a sucker for the end of this movie. I know it's predictable. Everybody gets what they want. They all get paired off. Corey winds up with AJ, who did come across a little clingy and weird that he's going to follow her to Boston, upon rewatch. It's pretty cheesy, but I liked it. I like when movies make me feel that excitement I felt when I was younger, right? Like, it doesn't make me feel that today, but I remember feeling that. Like, I remember sitting there and thinking like, oh my God, I want to fall in love with a cute boy that has good hair like AJ. I want to lose my virginity to a cute boy who has good hair like AJ, right? I want to find good friends I'm going to have forever. And I want to dance on rooftops with those friends. And that was nice. And I get it. Life isn't anything like that. And I didn't do any of those things except for the cute boy with good hair. But other than that, it made me feel good all these years later. And it was a good vibe at the end. And I think Jen would agree with me.
I love an ensemble ending. I hated this ending.
You do.
Yeah.
This is my least favorite ensemble ending of all time because I looked at everybody on that rooftop and hated every single one of their faces. I wish they'd all just jump off. They didn't deserve to be happy. None of these were great people.
Yeah.
Maybe Joe.
But it's your
Joe's
least
okay.
favorite ensemble?
I think so.
Really?
I think so. And what I would have rather had is what was actually the post-credit scene. Right? Where if you're watching the credits at the end, stick around. There's this post-credit scene. You've got them talking about the Pixies and Primus and the Misfits. I go, where was this the whole movie? Did these bands not want to play along and have their music featured in the film? Because I would love to see a movie where they're hanging out in the record store talking about the Pixies and Primus and the Misfits and Henry Rollins. That's the movie I want to see. Like Clerks, but about a record store. Let's make it happen. Reboot.
No, don't even ever say that. Don't
today it would be just a bunch of people sitting around like pirating music or like downloading a subscription to Apple Music, and like that would be it. So
I don't use Spotify. I use Tidal. Today would be terrible.
Listening to Watermelon. What is it?
It would be people
Sugar
debating whether or not
High.
Watermelon High is about ass or vagina. That's what it would be.
Now, let's be frank. Like, kids don't listen to music anymore. They just listen to 15-second TikTok loops.
Yeah.
By the way, Shat the Movie's on TikTok now. Check it out.
You were gonna do that.
Shameless
I knew
plug.
it. Good job.
Shameless
Good job.
plug.
All right, now is the time where we give our wipe scores for Empire Records. The wipe score is how many wipes this movie would take to get off your respective butts. 0 wipes is a perfect movie. It is Rex Manning's gorgeously coiffed hair on Rex Manning Day. 5 wipes is an absolute disaster movie. It is giving Rex Manning rock and roll head. Big D, we'll start with you. What is your wipe score for Empire Records?
So, Jen, like I said, I came into this wanting to shit full blown on this movie. I've shit on so many of these movies lately, but I'd be honest with you, I couldn't. And I don't know why. I think maybe there was a sentimentality that it triggered in me. Whereas Clerks, I thought, was cynical and trying to prove how cool they were. This reminded me of when you were a kid. You know, at this point in life, I was already in college, so I was older. But it reminded me of that group of friends you had, usually the misfits, where you had all the time in the world. You'd sit around talking about nothing and just music. And it really struck a chord. The movie was genuine. Was it great? No. But it was almost like that mixtape you find that's been sitting in your drawer for like 10 years, and you pop it in, and you know what? Yeah, the gin blossoms suck ass, but you can still get it stuck in your head as you listen to it.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Ash is defending Better Than Ezra. I got to defend the gin blossoms from
Yeah,
Tempe,
I
Arizona.
have to do it too.
Excuse me. Hey, Jealousy is a fucking jam.
With fools. Okay. Well, regardless, this is better than the Gin Blossoms, and it is better than an average movie. This is a 2 wipe. I really want to hate it, but I couldn't. Joe's heart won me over, and Jen, you won me over with Empire Records.
I'm so proud of you, Big D. I really thought that we were going to have another Clerks on our hands, and I am. I think that that's great. I still really liked this movie. I thought it was funny in parts. Okay, the music is not great anymore. I'll admit that, but I like how it's honest about how mundane your first jobs are. And how like nothing really happens. It's just these little vignettes of life happen like they show here. I think it's a great coming of age story in some ways. I think it's awful in others. Is it unrealistic? Absolutely. Is it perfect? No, it is not. But I do think it's a beautiful yet highly sanitized time capsule of the 90s and this aspect of the 90s. I watch it again right now. I can't wait to watch it with other people that haven't seen it before. And I think we should save the Empire forever. I really think it's a fun little movie that reminded me about a time before I got dark and cynical, like the people in Clerks, because that's what I am still to this day. And I still like to hear myself talk too much. So it was nice to just see people listening to music and not doing so much talking and obsessing over Rex Manning. So I'm giving it a 1.5 wipe score.
All right, so that's 2 wipes from Big D, 1.5 wipes from Ash. Big D, earlier in the pod, you mentioned that Empire Records was overstaffed. And I think that's a perfect analogy for this movie. It is an overstaffed movie, too many characters. They're all kind of doing the same thing. It suffers from a lack of purpose. It's not funny, so it fails as a comedy. It's not serious enough to be a drama. I don't know what this movie is supposed to be. And I do know it is a failure. It feels like a showcase of vignettes someone thought would appeal specifically to mainstream kids of the 90s. This is a mainstream kid's view of what a record store would be like. This is Hollywood's idea of record store culture. It was a very long 90 minutes. Like I looked at it, I was like, oh, this will be over quickly. And then it just dragged and dragged. But there were some grains of truth in Corey's story. And Ash, thank you so much for explaining those aspects, because I see the movie differently with that understanding. And I appreciated the Lucas twist and the Rex Manning motif. I thought those were some really strong moments. But overall, I just did not enjoy this movie one bit. It's not a complete disaster, but it is far below average. It is a 4 wiper for me. So combining those scores of 4 wipes, 2 wipes, and 1.5 wipes, we have an average wipe score of 2.5 wipes for Empire Records.
Well, Gene, with a 2.5 wipe score, that puts it like right in the middle. It's an average movie, and it makes Empire Records stand alone in the 114 spot. It is slightly better than The Fifth Element, and it is slightly worse than Army of Darkness, but it is an average 90s film.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, I do think I enjoy Army of Darkness more than I enjoyed this movie, so that makes sense.
I think I enjoyed The Fifth Element a lot more than I enjoyed this movie, and I wasn't a big fan of The Fifth Element.
I enjoy parts of The Fifth Element more than I enjoy this movie.
Just a half-naked Mia Jovovich.
I mean, I always enjoy that. And I think Chris Tucker's
doesn't?
fucking hilarious in The Fifth Element. But other than that, the rest of it, those weird like armadillo robots, I could never see again.
So Jen, Patrick, thank you so much for this commission. Big D, what do we have coming up next week?
Gene, next week is a milestone moment in Shat the Movie's history. For our 100th episode, we decided to go back and do one of the pinnacle movies of the 90s. We did Predator. And then for movie 200, we decided to go the other way and do a movie that probably nobody has seen. So one of our listeners, Chris P., commissioned the movie about a teen and his girlfriend who raid a military junkyard and find a time-traveling contraption from a UFO. That's all I'm going to tell you. Chris P. commissioned it, came out in 95, and I loved this movie as a kid, and this will be Shat the Movie's movie number 200.
Woohoo! Never seen it.
Dun, 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 dun. We should have like fireworks and music, like pew, streamers.
Add it in post.
I am nervous, though, that it's both military and time travel yet again after last week's final countdown.
No, this movie takes itself far less seriously, and I think Dennis Hopper is a teacher in it. It's wild.
Exciting.
Well, that concludes this week's episode of Shat the Movies. Thank you to all the commissioners. Be sure to follow us on social media and share with a friend. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram at Shat the Movies. You can email us, host@shatthemovies.com. Support the podcast by shopping our Amazon affiliate link, completing a free anonymous survey to help attract advertisers, buying our merch, or commissioning your own movie. Find information on all that by visiting our website, shatthemovies.com. Also, you can check out our sister podcast, Shat on TV, where we review TV series such as Lovecraft Country, Westworld, True Detective, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, and Watchmen. Find all that information on our website, shatontv.com. Big D does both websites. They're great. Wherever fine podcasts can be found, including iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. And if you stop by iTunes, please leave a 5-star review. That helps the podcast grow. Or you can leave a 1-star review 10 times. You know what we're talking about. On behalf of my co-hosts, Big D, Dick Ebert, and Ash Schlafly, I'm Gene Lyons. Be sure to join us next week for the following movie.
So, what I've attempted to do here this year is to instill in you a basic scientific curiosity about the world that we live in. Harlan? Why don't you tell us about your science project?
I'm working on it.
To be opened by authorized personnel.
Hey, what's this piece of junk? I don't know. Found it out at old Dawson Field. I figured maybe I could shine it up and pass it off to my science project.
I mean, it's some sort of power plant. I mean, this is generating power and light without heat, Michael.
How's that possible?
It's not possible.
Well, now that sounds like we're dealing with a time-space warp.
We went 2 hours into the future. What?
So how's it work? Simple. You see, it's kind of like breaking through the barriers between time, space, and all dimensions.
Whoa, it's climbed out the back.
It's a time-space warp that's created by this gizmo that will warp something into our dimension, or we can travel through time and space.
Who the hell are you?
I'm the long arm of the law.
If I'm gonna wind up in another dimension like Barbarino, I'm going in there packing.
What's the plan? Look, it's people from the past and the future, and we're all here together. This is like a crossroads of time and space. Wow.
My Science Project.